My my friends, today is Memorial Day and also the 1 century anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre. You know, very historical day, all right? And what is Benny Boy over here doing? He's taking on Woke Incorporated, all right? Woke Inc. I thought Benny Boy was a big capitalism supporter, you know, libertarian, government, stay off my property, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see. How is Benjamin Shapiro going to overcome the inherent ideological contradiction between him being anti-woke incorporated, but also believing that corporations should be able to do whatever they want in the free market to maximize their profits? Curious. Hit me, Ben.
Congratulations, graduates. Your days of indoctrination and wokeism are behind you. Your worries about being graded down because you wouldn't say America is systemically racist? Over.
I wish I lived in the world these people love to talk about, man. I went to like a super progressive school that was filled with former hippie like college professors and a bunch of like SJW students, and at no point in any of the classes I took on sociology did anyone get graded down because they didn't say America was oppressive. This just doesn't happen. Also, how many people in college are in humanities courses? Like, we're pretty much only talking about, like, sociology, critical studies, gender theory, and ethnic studies, right? Those are, like, the only ones that would be talking about this, or that general area. I feel like the vast majority of people going to college are never even going to talk about whether America is oppressive.
Your fears that you'd be socially shunned because of your failure to decry the evils of capitalism? Done. Yes,
you will.
You've been liberated. Next up, the real world, where merit is rewarded, diversity of opinion is welcomed, and the free and open exchange of ideas is celebrated. Just kidding. The truth is, many of you are about to move from the ivory tower of the authoritarian left to, well, probably the glass and steel tower of the authoritarian left.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how we control, like, literally everything? God, I wish I lived in the world these people can start. God. I wish I lived in the world they made up for us, okay? Yeah, dude. If only the authoritarian left controlled big business. Mm-hmm. I like running it through on this one, and I feel comfortable doing so, but I just want to say, this line of thinking is pretty much indistinguishable from the ones that neo-Nazis used to justify a lot of the persecution of Jewish people that they pushed. The idea was that, like, academia was corrupted by, like, Jewish progressive Bolshevik elites, and that additionally, like, industry was also being corrupted by them. And this is one of the defining characteristics of Nazi theory, right? The idea that, like, basically every institution, like, from just all of it, really. I mean, even they say this about the military, and hey, the Republicans have been saying the military is Marxist lately. Who was that person who said that? They said the military was, it was Tim Pool. Tim Pool said the military had gone full woke because they had, like, a diversity office. Yeah, Ted Cruz said it too. Yeah. It's where every institution is far left. What institution isn't far left? And question, if we're in charge of everything, why do you all still exist? If big tech is authoritarian left, schools are authoritarian left, business is authoritarian left, the government is authoritarian left, the military is authoritarian, how are we still having this conversation? You'd think it would have been settled by now.
Today's business behemoths have also become bastions of woke thought.
Ooh.
Terrified of discrimination lawsuits and all the time, money, and bad PR, they bend to every woke diktat that blows through their HR departments. Corporations spend millions on useless diversity compliance officers.
Useless diversity compliance officers. Do you think that's what they call them, by the way? Like, you're walking down the hall of Woke Inc., and they're like, that you have to, like, tip your hat to the diversity compliance officer? Again, it's just interesting because normally Ben Shapiro is very, very, very much of the mindset that businesses are free to do whatever they want as long as they're not violating the rights of others. I guess he might argue that by being progressive, that is actually a violation of their employees' rights. A quick question to you, Mr. Shapiro. Why don't you just get another job then?
whose sole purpose is to insulate them from an ever-expanding list of discrimination claims, but most especially racism. That's why within the first few days on the job, you will likely be subjected to an orientation taught by a devotee of Ibram X. Kendi or Robin DiAngelo. During a day-long struggle session, this anti-racist consultant will inform you that if you're white, you must become less white.
Wait, hold on, wait. Does he really think this is like... Wait, he said more than likely. Is this something he thinks happens? Like, I get it. The average PragerU viewer is in high school and hasn't been to... It never actually worked a job. They probably do believe this. Oh, yeah, dude. When you sign up for your fucking part-time job at Marshall's, clothing, your first day on the job will be an all-day course on anti-whiteness. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What does this mean? This... I know I shouldn't abuse the gift of prophecy or anything like that, but wasn't I calling all of this like a year ago or 6 months ago that the writings of some of the worse elements of the anti-racist or the misuse of intersectionality was going to be used to impugn the entire business class for being responsible for indoctrinating people into wokeness or whatever? I just don't understand how people can't see the direct link between this and neo-Nazi, the way they because what's the solution to this, right? So every single institution, every institution in America is controlled by the woke. And mind you, by the way, Ben Shapiro and all the other people who talk about this will never actually talk about the ideological tenets of wokeness. When they do, it's just these thin, transparent bullet points, like be less white. Okay, they know this isn't the entirety of the discourse that's taking place. They know that for a fact. The reason they boil it down to something like this is because they want wokeness to register in the minds of their audience the same way a cult would. No actual ideas to grapple with, no actual worldview or perception, no analysis, no education, nothing. It's just an ideologically hegemonic opposition that you have to be opposed to because they'll destroy America otherwise. It encourages your audience to be very uncritical and very unthinking, which, I mean, that is the right mind state for a PragerU viewer.
And if you're a person of color, a POC, you are a victim. Corporations cater to their squeakiest customers, and the authoritarian left is nothing if not squeaky. It threatens boycotts and company-destroying publicity if businesses refuse to comply with its demand.
Imagine being a religious conservative and complaining that the far left is the squeaky one. How many hundreds of years have religious fundamentalists in this country been leading boycotts and letter writing campaigns and public demonstrations against and TV ads against and billboards? And the far right is the most obnoxious vocal opponent to ideological disagreement. I mean, for God's sake, does anyone remember the Satanic Panic? The comic code? This is the guy, by the way, he's been behind every single right-leaning boycott. Gillette, Nike, Ben Shapiro supports it all. Oh, this gigantic multi-billion-dollar company said black people's contributions to American history matter? All right. Enjoy making no money, you disgusting, degenerate, postmodern neo-Marx. He does all of this himself. His entire channel is him whining about... Don't forget Keurig. Oh yeah, wait, hold on. If we just really, really quick, hopefully this pulls up some results so I don't look like I'm completely talking out of my ass here, but if we go to Ben Shapiro's channel and I look up, Nike, I don't see anything directly with Nike. What about Kruger? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, it's falling apart. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wait, what was the other one we said? Oh, Keurig. Keurig, not Kruger, sorry. What was the other one? Gillette. Person of unspecified gender. Oh, I just don't think they put it in the title. Oh, you're right. We should go to the Daily Wire, which is the outlet that Ben Shapiro controls. I think this is probably a little more Okay, there we go. Sorry. He titles his videos and streams a little differently. There we go. Shapiro wrecks Nike's new bold ad. Nike reveals how they feel about USA. Why did Nike pull American flag shoes? Does Nike believe the American flag is offensive? Nike asks, are your dreams crazy enough? Friday Live, Nike Does It goes full SJW. Woke TV commercial, try to guess. I'm gonna guess it's Nike. Are these shoes offensive to you? We get, yeah, do Ben and Jerry. Oh, they do complain about Ben and Jerry a lot, don't they? Yeah, they do complain about. What's the Keurig? What's Kruger? Why did I default to that? Keurig wasn't as popular. What about the Gillette? That one was very popular. Fail. Gillette ad attempts to shame men. Gillette insults its own customers. Lectures men. The best a person of unspecified gender can get. Toxic masculinity. And it's got shaving there, and Gillette's in the thumbnail, you know. The point that I'm laboriously trying to arrive at here, because this feels kind of like a cheap gotcha, like, oh, you complain about the left being squeaky, but you run a news outlet that is designed to be very squeaky. The answer is that, guys, everybody on every side of the political aisle complains about stuff that corporations do that they don't like. That's free speech, baby. We all have that right. That's like normal human behavior. If things do things you don't like, you complain about it. Everyone does this. An honest interlocutor would acknowledge this, but Ben Shapiro is not one of those. Ben Shapiro will impugn people on the left, not just for doing something the right does. He will impugn people on the left for doing something that is a fundamental component of participating in democratic society. Like, can you imagine a video being done by Ben where he complains that the squeaky, mask-off authoritarian left has the audacity to vote against politicians they don't like? I could actually see that. I feel like I could. I feel like I could imagine a video where he's like, and the authoritarian left has a strategy they use to silence dissenting voices. When they go to the ballot box, they cast their ballot for left-leaning candidates. I can imagine it I'm constructing it in my head live. It's really happening right now. I feel like they might as well just make that video. The sneaky tactics of the authoritarian left.
According to a study by James Bailey and Hillary Phillips, as reported in the Harvard Business Review, a generic corporation identified as apolitical or liberal saw no blowback from a panel of prospective consumers.
Okay.
But a generic corporation identified as conservative saw a 33% drop in opinion, entirely driven by participants who identified as Democrats.
Wait, he's doing the exact thing that I just made fun of him for. He's doing the exact thing. No way. Democrats don't like it when corporations have conservative values? I'm gonna need to reassess my axioms after this one. Seriously? They pay animators to do this. Did you watch this ahead of time? No! This is like he's doing the thing.
That's why your boss will likely send out regular company-wide emails assuring you that he or she or she is on the right side of history and pledging millions of dollars in support of whatever the leftist cause du jour happens to.
Is that something that happens often in corporations? Your CEO will email everyone saying that they're woke and that they're donating to charity? Is that just a typical email that you get? Has Ben Shapiro ever worked for like a big company? I genuinely don't know. I know he bombed in Hollywood. Only Breitbart? Yeah, I wonder. I mean, if you work at Breitbart, you probably do get emails like every single day about how the leadership hates Democrats or something. So I don't know.
To be. And you'll be forced to echo these messages or seek employment elsewhere. Corporations, above all, are risk-averse and controversy-averse.
Damn, well, sounds like you can just get a job elsewhere. Keep in mind, the positions that he wants you to echo are being anti-racist. So, yeah, you can get a job elsewhere if you don't like that. Yeah, actually. if you get an email from corporate and they're like, "Hey, we're committed to anti-racism," and you print the email out and you're like, "This is a violation of my conservative right," then yeah, I guess you can just get a job elsewhere. Just yeah, that's sure.
This means that they are petrified of their own woke workers and cater to them in order to avoid media-manufactured blowback. While apolitical staffers and conservatives may constitute the majority of employees at any company,
Wait, why is apolitical and conservative being roped together into the same group here? First of all, let's assess the let's assess the metrics, okay? Why exactly are they being roped together? Like, couldn't anyone make this argument? Like, I'm arguing with a Nazi, okay? And the Nazi's like, there aren't so many far leftists in this country. If you include apolitical people and neo-Nazis, we make up over half the country. Okay. I don't know why you're counting the apolitical people as part of the block that's meant to describe your population. Also, by the way, I'd love to see some data on this, because if we're talking about if we're assuming that workers are representative of your average American, then it would actually be about 35% of them would be conservative, about no wait, actually it would be less. I think it'd be about 28% of them would be conservative, about 35% of them would be Democrat, and the remainder would be apolitical. I think that's about the representative proportion. However, that wouldn't actually be the case in a major business. A major business is probably being operated in an office at a city, and cities are more Democrat. The population numbers are skewed heavily because of rural areas. If we're talking about places that have access to the kind of glass and steel high-rises that Ben Shapiro was using in the art earlier, it may even be more so. It's possible that a majority, like over 50% of the people at an average corporation, depending on what they do, finance might be more conservative, whereas, I don't know, marketing or advertising might be more liberal. It might be over 50%. So, yeah. So anyway, I don't know. We're just making numbers up, but
the corporate heads are driven by fear of a vocal ideological minority, which is why if you offend one of your fellow employees on a message board by suggesting that there are non-sexist reasons why men outnumber women in STEM jobs,
this is one of the okay, hold on. Can I ask an honest question of any Ben Shapiro fans who are watching? So Ben Shapiro is referring to a real-life incident here, okay? Where a guy working at Google, for reasons that are still beyond me, sent out a mass unsolicited email to his coworkers where he talked about how men are more naturally suited to tech jobs because of a variety of inherent biological advantages, okay? This guy woke up one morning and he was like, you know what? Anyway, the relative brain size and the skull shape of the male allows us to... This is the guy that Ben Shapiro is defending right now. What's the name of this guy? Does anyone remember his name? We can look up an article on him really quick. But, like, just to be clear, that's what Ben's defending. But he's not going to represent this incident, honestly. If you're a fan of Ben Shapiro, does it feel weird that he lies to you all the time? Like, it wasn't exactly unsolicited in the sense that the company had asked employees how to make it easier on women to be part of the force, if I remember correctly. Okay, it wasn't unsolicited in the sense that nothing happened. It was unsolicited in the sense that there was nothing that prompted him to go on an evolutionary psychology rant about the male superior. Like, if somebody's like, hey, how do you think we can make women feel more comfortable in the workplace? And this guy's like, crack knuckles, we shouldn't have to. I feel like that actually makes it a little bit worse. James Damore, hold on. Yep, it's gamer time. Oh, yes, Google's Idealogical Echo Chamber. I think that was the name of the... Commonly referred to as the Google Memo, is an internal memo dated to July 2017 by US-based Google engineer James Damore about Google's culture and diversity politics. The company fired Damore for violation of the company's code of conduct. Damore filed a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board, but later withdrew this complaint. A lawyer with the NLRB wrote that his firing was proper. Okay, so you know, the National Labor Relations Board was on board with him being fired. After withdrawing the complaint, he filed a class action lawsuit retaining the services of attorney Harmeet Dillon, alleging Google was discriminating against conservatives, whites, Asians, and men. And then he withdrew those claims to pursue arbitration. So to be clear, this guy is an idiot, and he's been fishing for media attention on the back of a... Can you please stop slamming the door? I don't think the scissors are in the kitchen. Maybe the scissors disintegrated from the vibrations of you slamming the door every time you enter and exit the room. Anyway, course of events. Hold on. Here we go. James Damore was spurred to write the memo when a Google diversity program he attended solicited feedback. The memo was written on a flight to China. Calling the culture at Google an ideological echo chamber, the memo states that while discrimination exists, it is extreme to ascribe all disparities to oppression, and it is authoritarian to try to correct disparities through reverse discrimination. Instead, the memo argues that male-to-female disparities can be partly explained due to biological differences. Alluding to the work of Simone Baron-Cohen, Damone said that those differences include women having generally stronger interest in people rather than things, and tending to be more social, artistic, and prone to neuroticism, a higher-order personality trait. Damore's memorandum also suggests ways to adapt the tech workplaces to these differences to increase women's representation and comfort without resorting to discrimination. It was shared on an internal mailing list. It was updated with a preface affirming the author's opposition to workplace sexism and stereotyping. A version of the memo was published on Gizmodo, and then controversy. The most charitable thing that you can say about this is that it was incredibly inappropriate. You know, I feel like that's the most that you can say. That's the most charitable thing that you can say about this. If you're talking about like trying to get feedback for a diversity program and your response is like a big memo on avopsych and how women and men are like naturally different, it's authoritarian to use reverse discrimination. Like, this seems to me, I think this is, if nothing else, it is an indication of extreme social ineptitude. Neuroticism is a neutral technical term in psych. Yeah. Prone to neuroticism, a higher order personality trait, a fundamental personality trait. More likely than average to be moody and to experience such feelings as anxiety, worry, fear, or anger. Yeah, like women are more emotional. That's the argument here. Anyway, yeah. So the point is, Ben Shapiro is trying to act like this guy's firing was some kind of like woke mob going after him, when not only was his firing like essentially defended by the labor board that he went to, but his behavior was pretty reprehensible.
You'll be summarily fired. No! Just ask James Damore of Google. Conservatives used to believe that what happened in college stayed in college. This was a colossal mistake. Slowly but surely, college radicals have renormalized America's institutions. Let's talk about how.
I really like how all the dialogue from 2015 and 2016 and 2017 about college campus radicals turned out to be completely meaningless, because as it turns out, college radicals have no real world power, and they know that, and it's hard for them to continue pinning blame on them because Berkeley hasn't had any like buildings burnt in a while. So rather than drop this talking point, they have to say like, oh, yeah, dude, actually, that was just stage one of their plan. Now the college radicals, in just a couple of years, have completely infiltrated all of business in that time. It's like, all right.
Author Nassim Nicholas Taleb discusses the process of renormalization in his book, Skin in the Game. Let's say you have a family of 4, including one daughter who only eats vegan.
Okay.
Mom now has a choice. She can cook 2 meals, one for the non-vegan family members and one for her daughter, or she can cook 1 meal with only vegan ingredients. She decides to cook only 1 meal. This is renormalization of the family unit, which has converted from majority non-vegan to vegan. Now, says Taleb, have the family attend a barbecue with 3 other families. The host has to make the same choice Mom did, make 1 meal or make 2. This process of renormalization, the new normal, continues until broader and broader numbers have been moved by one inflexible person.
If this was the case, wouldn't everyone in America be vegan by now? Wait, this is self-evidently incorrect. I've been to barbecues. They just bring a vegan option. This argument that like veganism is a virus that spreads like from person to person, like every time they participate in a broader event, and then when the one vegan goes to the soup kitchen, they say, "Oh, we have to throw out all the soup now because there's milk in the soup base. We only can serve vegan soup now." And then when the one vegan went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, all of the American electorate instantly became vegan. This is ridiculous. This doesn't happen. Why? Why would you use a hypothetical when even in the conditions of the hypothetical, things are self-evidently not happening the way you say it's going to happen?
The same holds true in corporations. All it takes, according to physicist Serge Gallum, is a tipping point. A certain percentage of the population joining an inflexible movement and demanding change from a less than motivated majority.
What about fundamentalist Christians? There are literally tens of millions of... Yeah, no, this guy's a physicist. This guy doesn't do sociology, by the way. I looked him up in the other monitor. What about fundamentalist Christians? There are tens of millions of them, and they've been politically active for like hundreds of years. What? So if that's the case, why isn't everything catering to their interests by now? See, there's a lie that people like Ben Shapiro like to push. They'll push it over and over and over again. Hold on. Ignore smooth-faced Kratos, please. I was doing a thing for Twitter, okay? No matter how much you get around it, okay? People over at PragerU, they want to... This is the world they want to show you. Okay? I can't ignore that. I'm sorry, you're just going to have to, all right? This is the world that they want you to believe in, all right? Are you ready for it? Are you ready to see the world they want you to believe in? They want you to believe in a world where this is the loud, angry minority group that they're fighting against. And that the rest of America is just like neutral or just trying to chill. And that this loud vocal minority radiates out and infects the rest of the country. But the reality is, and this can be demonstrated through pretty much any available demographic data we have. Just any, if you look at any, really. And it's that the majority of the country is in favor of the basic progressive ideas that Ben Shapiro complains about. He is the squeaker here, I am afraid. That whether you like it or not, the majority of this country is in favor of all of the things that he's complaining about. Whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's anti-racism, whether it's tolerance of intersectional theory, it has been consistently demonstrated, basically any time this stuff gets tested, that, yeah, actually, the majority of the country is okay with this. Why do you think corporations appeal to those ideas? Corporations aren't going woke because they're afraid of lawsuits. Find me how many successful pro-woke, anti-racist, like labor dispute suits there have been in America recently. Ones that are based on like some woke SJW iteration of anti-racist theory. You probably won't be able to find any because, as it turns out, the judges and the courts aren't like ruling that corporations are racist based on modern fourth wave feminist intersectional theory. No. The reason why corporations cater to progressive ideas is because that's what gets them the most customers. There's no getting around it. That's the reason why, okay? Every position they adopt is optical. That's it, okay? And it goes both ways, too. Businesses that appeal to conservative values do the exact same thing the other way. Look at all the business that Chick-fil-A gets for being such obvious pieces of shit with regards to the things they care about, or pretend to care about at the very least. It goes both ways. Corporations adopt ideas because it makes them money. And the only reason it would make them money is if most people wanted this. Ben Shapiro keeps talking about this like it should, like the woke left should be something we can just shrug off. If that's the case, why haven't people done that yet? Where's this big American rejection of progressive corporations? Like all of those go woke, go broke YouTube videos that people used to make, like in 2017, 2016, of films like Captain Marvel, which was a huge hit, or Mad Max, which was a huge hit, or Black Panther, which was a huge hit. Like these go broke or go woke, go broke. The premise, like the Star Wars films, yeah. Well, the Star Wars sequel trilogy was bad, sure, but it also made mega bank. It's just this go woke, go broke thing. It's not happening. Sorry. It's go woke, get money. Okay? It's go woke, build fat stacks. That's what it is. Okay? You're just losing the culture war, buddy.
Gallon puts that number at approximately 20%. So, here's the good news. Renormalization can work in reverse, too. Here's how. Find a group of like-minded employees. Make demands that a majority of employees agree with.
We want to be racist.
Be inflexible and be loud.
They can do that.
Band together to resist the intrusions of the radical left. Donald McNeil of the New York Times lost his job because he used the N-word in describing why not to use the N-word. 150 woke staffers at the Times complained to the editors and got him canned. But there are 1,200 employees at the Times. What if even 200 of those employees had pushed back? You can lead the pushback.
Then they probably still would have fired him because they were more interested in preventing public backlash. Ex-Times reporter who used a racial slur publishes a lengthy defense. Donald McNeil, who resigned... Wait, he resigned! Wait, I'm sorry, Ben, what'd you say?
And got why not to use the N-word. 150 woke staffers resist the intrusions of the radical left. Donald McNeil of the New York Times lost his job because he...
Lost his job. Resigned. Curious. Resigned under pressure. So, like, public backlash? How much pressure? That's basically the same as being fired. It really depends on the context. If Ben Shapiro was being honest, he would have said resigned under pressure. But he said lost his job, and I think he says get canned.
Use the N-word in describing why not to use the N-word. 150 woke staffers at the Times complained to the editors and got him canned.
Yeah, this is inference. How would 200 people prevent public pressure? Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but Ben Shapiro's kind of an idiot. I wouldn't be looking for too much here, you know? They said they disciplined him already so he could have stayed and laid low. Yeah, because, so one of the ways, so there are two ways this can go, right? Resigning under pressure can basically mean that the New York Times put a ton of pressure on him to resign and that he basically had to. And the other possibility is that he just would have been held in lower regard at the New York Times, and he thought it was better for him to resign and make a big public spectacle out of the drama than it would have been to stay with the New York Times. The fact that this guy posted I'm sorry, what was this? A lengthy defense after his resignation tells me that this is because he wanted to dig his heels into the dirt. That he resigned in large part. A 4-part essay often critical of Times leadership. Yeah, this to me suggests that he left willingly because he was more interested in leveraging the backlash against the New York Times than he was in staying. Of course, it's hard to tell, but Ben Shapiro's language is flagrantly dishonest.
But there are 1,200 employees at the Times. What if even 200 of those employees had pushed back? You can lead the pushback. In fact, you should.
You can lead the pro-N-word pushback. Find a group of like-minded employees who like saying the N-word. Now, be inflexible, be loud, be stubborn.
Now, that may seem like a lot to ask. Why should a CEO listen to his youngest employees? Fair question.
Youngest?
But here's the answer. They already do. It's 23-year-old woke staffers who are forcing these corporations to the left. It's going to take 23-year-old non-left staffers to move them back. That means being smart. It means not making dumb mistakes on social media.
I like this a lot because what Ben Shapiro is saying is we would be a lot more rhetorically effective if you would stop going mask off racist on social media. We could get a lot more done if you would stop getting yourself fired ahead of time by being openly racist on social media. That's what this is. This is the... This is literally like, guys, listen, okay? I get it. The N-word. You love it. I love it, okay? But you need to keep it quiet on social media for a bit, okay? Oh, God. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me a little bit of, because conservative followers have no self-control. It reminds me of Lauren Southern's video on the Great Replacement. Lauren Southern, you know, the Great Replacement thing, white people are being destroyed by immigration, et cetera, et cetera. The comments were full initially of neo-Nazis posting, just open neo-Nazi stuff. You know, the Jews did this, you know, the Holocaust didn't happen, but it should have, like that, like just incredibly, as straightforward as you can get, right? And that's the thing. Lauren later deleted all of those comments, not because she didn't like them, but because they were being too loud for her taste. The conservative followers are never, ever, ever going to be smart enough or exercise enough self-control to avoid taking their mask off at critical moments, okay? This is going to keep happening. They have no self-control. Wasn't it just the other day that, was it Flynn? Flynn said that America should have a military coup like Myanmar. That happened, right? Yeah. Echoing QAnon forums, Michael Flynn appears to suggest a Myanmar-style coup should happen in the United States. These are the defenders of democracy, by the way. Flynn made the comments at an event on Dallas on Sunday that was attended by prominent peddlers of the QAnon. Yeah, this was the big QAnon conference. Yeah, like, and by the way, these are their leaders, you know? If their leaders are so brain broken that they can't keep it together long enough to avoid making comments like that that will widely discredit them and the movements they're a part of, yeah, Ben Shapiro's like, listen, everyone, okay? Remember the comments that I made about black people and Palestinians? Oh yeah, okay, here's Ben Shapiro's side channel. Conservatives keep the mask on, challenge impossible. Okay, hold it. Come on.
It means building alliances with those who aren't motivated primarily by politics. But just as you were in college, you are now.
Just non-political advocates of the N-word, you know? Like, not only do you need conservative, like, clanners and racists and white nationalists, okay? But you need to get the apolitical N-word aficionados in here, okay? Get all the white boys, all right? Who just, like, you know, they like going out, they like playing some b-ball, they have a lot of black friends, and they just say the N-word casually, you know? Try to get them in on it, you know? Just bring a lot of people in there. Yeah, you need a lot of World of Warcraft, League of Legends players. Do you have any friends who play Counter-Strike Global Offensive? You'll find many people who play Counter-Strike Global Offensive are very amenable to the idea of saying the N-word frequently and loudly at workplaces. Consider asking coworkers if any of them play Counter-Strike Global Offensive and recruit from them apolitical advocates for the N-word.
Now in opposing territory, and that requires fighting back in strategic ways. Be an advocate for truth and a warrior for liberty. Welcome to the real world and the real fight.
Notice how we're capping this off. Be a warrior for truth and liberty, but nothing that Ben Shapiro has done or described over the course of this video has had anything to do with either of those things. He hasn't identified an incorrect position that needs to be corrected, so truth is off the table. And in terms of liberty, he's directly advocating for people who follow him to do the exact same thing that he dislikes in his opposition. So what's the... Yeah, nothing here has any position or any... There's nothing here.
I'm Ben Shapiro for Prager University.
This video was made possible.
That's nice to know. I love you, Ben. Ben Shapiro has no right to complain about the Times incident when he just led a hate campaign against Emily Wilder that got her fired not even a week ago. He literally pressured the AP to fire their youngest employees after only 3 weeks on the job because she was pro-Palestinian. Was Ben Shapiro behind that to an extent? Huh! Within an hour of Fox News website, May 19th, Wilder was fired. The Stanford College Republicans responded, Emily Wilder is not a journalist. She is an unhinged Marxist, anti-Israeli agitator. We're proud that our efforts led directly to this outcome. Damn! Wow, this sure did happen immediately before. The leftist media must be held accountable, and that already happened in this case. The group gloated. They thanked those who amplified their original Twitter attack, including former Daily Wire editor Ben Shapiro. Yeah, well, there you go. Again, I ask fans of Ben Shapiro, and I'm genuinely asking, does it feel weird to you that there's no consistency between Ben Shapiro's behavior and his like stated positions. I know you probably think that's how everyone is, and that these are just like natural hiccups in political advocacy that you need to overlook in order to defend the things you care about. But the fact that all the people who believe the things that you believe lie constantly, nonstop, blatant, flagrant hypocrisy between what they say and what they do probably should be something that concerns you a little bit. In very obvious ways, too. Like, not, this isn't like some subtle dissection of, no, they just say things that are provably untrue, and then they do the opposite of what they say they like. I don't know. Godspeed, okay?